For the love of Christ! For the love of Bill Gates, don't touch anything.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to Spreaker.com for Corner to Corner Wrestling Radio. Sorry about the audio issue there. Had to do a quick reboot, but everything's back up and running, and we are joined live by the Darkhorse himself, Joe King, UCW superstar. Mr. King, how are you, sir?
Doing pretty good, guys. How you doing?
We are doing great. Glad to have you on board. Thank you for your patience as we got the audio situation going on.
No problem.
So, first and foremost, let's go ahead and do some of the formalities. We'll do the basics. How long have you been in the professional wrestling business?
Well, I started training for wrestling back in 2002. It was September. I know this because I went to a wrestling show. It was the same night as the SummerSlam 2002 pay-per-view. I went to a show, watched a show, and then they had the pay-per-view playing. And during the show, they mentioned they had wrestling school. So that following week, I started training. I had my first match in, I believe it was November of 2003. So, about, 14 years? Almost. Been around for a while.
Years.
So, UCW comes along. First time back in over 15 years at the Big O Boogie in Orange, Virginia. How did it feel for you to be back in for UCW? I mean, was it a last-minute phone call for you, or have you always been on from the beginning?
I heard about the show that was going to be coming up. I was not booked on it previously, but I asked if people were needed for the show. I was interested. I was first told it was booked up and there was no room for me, but then, as stuff happens, people cancel, can't make it, so I ended up getting on. Had a pretty good match against Sicken, who got the better of me that night, and I think the crowd enjoyed it. We were the opening match, and it was a really good crowd that night. Everybody was into it.
It was a very raucous crowd, you could say.
Oh, yeah.
There was a lot of alcohol flowing around. There was a lot of fans anxious to get involved.
No. The alcohol was not flying around.
Well, okay, so nobody was throwing beers, but they were drinking a lot of them.
Yes, they were. I may or may not have partaken after my match.
Well, that's good that you waited because, that's important for being safe, safety first. We appreciate that, and I'm sure that those in UCW appreciate that as well. So you mentioned Sicken. He's the new #1 contender to the TV championship. He's going to be taking on Ethan Cross on the 28th of October. As you go forward, I mean, you've gotten yourself off a losing streak. You beat Ron Holiday at the very first UCW Defiance. Going into the 28th of October for you, are you hoping to see Sicken come away with the title? Do you want to get a shot at Ethan Cross? What do you want to do?
To be honest, I want to see Sicken get the win because I want another opportunity against him. Because I think I can beat him. He put up a good fight. He got the better of me the first night over Ultimate Championship Wrestling, but I think I could take him.
Well, you had the crowd support in Sterling. I noticed that, you had actually a lot of support in Orange. I mean, when you came to the ring, it seemed like the crowd wasn't sure what to make of it at first. Like, between you and Sicken, they were trying to decide who are we going to get behind. And as the match went on, they got behind you. And then when we get to Sterling, the fans are in your corner again. I mean, is this new territory for you? Are you used to the fans taking to you so quickly?
I mean, I've been around for a while, so, I kind of figured out how to feel out a crowd and see how they're going to react to me or my opponent. Depending on how I feel that night, if I want the crowd to cheer me, I can go with the crowd, maybe give them a good show, or maybe once in a while I can do what the crowd doesn't want me to do and maybe slow it down.
Are you afraid to bend the rules if you have to?
I mean, I'm not against breaking the rules. Well, bending the rules once in a while. I mean, it's not cheating if you don't get caught, as Jesse Ventura used to say.
So, I got to ask you a couple of quick questions here because when we were at Defiance, we're talking to Humphrey DuPont, and we're talking to him about, what happened to Outlaw Inc., and they weren't able to get a return match for the Tag Team Championship. We talked about, was there maybe some shenanigans involved? Was it Mr. DuPont? Was it maybe Ethan Cross? Or could it have maybe been Mr. Grimm, the hitman for hire? Do you have a thought as to who took out Outlaw Inc.?
I honestly don't know. I mean, Mr. Grimm is pretty. He's probably at my top of my list because he is a hitman for hire after all.
That's right.
That'd be my top prospect. It could have been anybody. Any of the tag teams looking to get an opportunity for the tag team titles. Mr. DuPont is one. He's a sleazy customer, so you never know who he's willing to pay off to do the dirty work for him. I see that new monster Tremor. He's looks pretty scary. So he could have done it too.
See, that's a good point. Mr. Grimm, of course, hitman for hire, and anything is possible with the right amount of money. That's true for a hitman. But when you talk about Tremor and you talk about the latest signing to Big Stuff Incorporated, Tremor he's a unique kind of cat. He brings a certain something to the table that it's a little scary.
Oh yeah.
Would you want to face Tremor?
It's so funny you say that. Me and him have a little history. Back in another company, I had a little group, little stable, if you will. He was a member of that group, and he was my muscle in that group.
Really?
We had a falling out. And he went his way, I went my way. So there's some unfinished business between me and him that maybe it could be settled here in Ultimate Championship Wrestling if the powers that be will let me get a shot at it.
Well, I got to tell you, if you're taking on Tremor, it's bad enough you're taking on just such an unpredictable guy, but then you've got Big Stuff Incorporated to think about. You got KR Superstar and Mr. Big Stuff.
Right. I actually watched the match Tremor had at the TV taping. I saw Mr. Big Stuff get involved. Mr. Jay Collister, pretty boy, just he couldn't compete with Tremor, let alone, and then Mr. Big Stuff on the outside. He was outnumbered. I think I might be able to fare a little well, more than Mr. Pretty Boy did, but. I don't know. That's why they play the game.
So you mentioned that you had a group to your stead, the people at your side in previous companies. So in UCW, can we expect another King's Court, so to speak? Is there going to be a kingdom for you to reign?
Well, it's always a possibility. Here lately, I was tagging with somebody and a few other promotions recently who decided wrestling wasn't for him. So here lately, I've been running solo. The Darkhorse seems to become the lone wolf, if you will. I actually prefer it that way. I'm more of a loner, anyways. That way I can depend on myself and not have to worry about others helping me out.
Well, you got to have friends in the locker room. You got to have somebody you can count on. Because if there's anything we saw at Defiance, it's that there's strength in numbers.
True.
The Hounds of Hades had Papa Stro.
That they did. I watched that match also. That's the dangerous group. I'm a little wary of them. So we'll see what they can do.
Yeah. What do you think about Dorothy?
Papa Stro is a scary individual, and you're bringing that. It's a whole new ball game. So. I'm not sure. I'm kind of scared about that, but I want to test myself. Maybe get a shot at them too. Who knows?
That's definitely a test of your skill, not just your skill, but maybe your courage. To be honest with you, he's an intimidating force as it is, but Dorothy, in and of itself, was just a very creepy feel to it. There were kids in the audience that were kind of cowering away. They weren't really sure what to make of it.
Right.
So, Defiance is on the 28th of October. We've got a pretty stacked card as it is. We're going to be crowning the very first women's champion for UCW. What are your thoughts on Tessa Valentine taking on Tara Calloway?
I'm not super familiar with either one of them. I've heard of Tara Calloway. I think she's been around probably longer. I can't really give an honest opinion. I'm not really too familiar with both ladies. Tara Calloway has more name value in my opinion because I've heard of her more. So I'm going to have to go with her.
Right. So if you could name your opponent right now in UCW, who would you want?
From the current roster of
For who's good? Yeah, for who's there right now. If you could say, all right, on October 28th, I'm taking on this guy or girl, who would it be?
Right. If I were to have a dream opponent at, let's see here. I actually want a piece of Tremor. Believe it or not, I want a piece of the monster.
Oh,
wow.
So you got some payback for Trimmer.
I do. We have unfinished business. Unfortunately, though, I will not be there on the. I've already previously scheduled that. So.
Oh, okay. So you won't be there for the
Unfortunately,
28th.
Yeah, unfortunately, I wish I could because I really like what UCW had going, and I think they have a really bright future, and I'm happy to be a part of it. So.
All right. So you're saying that if it can be worked out, you want Trimmer
Yes, I do.
at Defiance. Defiance.
Yes, I do. In the future, whenever maybe possibly the next show coming up after this one, I would love that.
All right. So where can we find the King? Where?
The King will actually be in. I'll be in Delaware coming up on October 21st. It's Camden. It's Camden, Wyoming, Delaware.
That's a mouthful.
Yes, it is. So October 28th, I will actually be at Next Evolution Wrestling in Elizabeth City, North Carolina.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Next Evolution. So, is that a relatively new promotion?
They've been around for a little, I think, almost a year and a half now.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yep, based out of Elizabeth City. I've held every championship in that promotion, but the main title. So
wow.
I got my sights set on it. I had a match for that last show. I got beat. Wasn't really, the cleanest terms. The guy, he took advantage of an injury I had earlier in the match, and he beat me. So,
that's crummy.
Bo Crockett, the champion, he took advantage of the injury, and he
Bo
beat me.
Crockett?
Yes,
you mean one of the Carnies?
Yes. He's got Preston Quinn and Mike Booth at Next Evolution Wrestling watching his back, and he beat me, and then they decided to come out there and try to put me out for a little bit. So they beat my leg for a while, the chair and everything. But luckily I had some backup that night, and it prevented me from missing any time.
It's interesting you mentioned Bo Crockett because we've had a lot of interaction with him just in the past couple of weeks, trying to see if we can get him to bring along with him the Carnies to UCW to see if we could perhaps get them in the fold. And that would be interesting to have you and Bo maybe settle your differences on an episode of Defiance.
That would not be a bad idea. Me and Bo, we've known each other for a good while. We used to ride together a lot to different shows. Me and him went to Massachusetts together a little while back, and got to know him really well. But there was a tag team tournament down at Next Evolution Wrestling. He was supposed to be my tag partner that night. He no-showed me. Then later that night, the team that won the titles, he ended up running in and hitting them with chairs, turning his back on the fans. So I took a little, that was kind of disrespectful because he left me hanging, and then he beat up the new champs. So
That's kind of the thing about Bo Crockett, though. He does that. He's done that to a former partner up north. He had in Cutie and the Beast, where Cutie got beat down pretty bad.
Yeah.
Well, I guess he's referred to as the Cutie, wasn't he? Oh.
Isaiah, the Beast, Isaiah, anything Isaiah. I saw pictures of what he did to Isaiah, and it was uncalled for. I mean, he won the match, and then he decided to power drive him on a stack of chairs. He went overboard. It's overkill.
So, I mean, Joe, you've got your hands full. You've got your eyes looking towards possibly Ethan Cross in the future or the television title. You've got Tremor that you've talked about. I mean, you've come off a victory from defeating Ron Holiday at the first Defiance. And now we find out that there's a possibility we could see you versus Bo Crockett in Ultimate Championship Wrestling. I mean, that's a lot. You got a lot on your plate.
Yes, I do. I'm ready for it. Like you asked me earlier how long I've been doing this. 14 years. I haven't. It took me a little while to start traveling, getting myself out there a little bit more. Kind of waited until later in my career to start getting out. But I'm a seasoned veteran. I mean, I'm still young. I'm 31, so there's plenty of gas left in the tank. So I'm just ready for the challenge, whoever it may be.
Well, I mean, you talk about what your hit list would be, so to speak, if your checklist right now, if we're just basing it off of, the Big O Boogie at Skydive Orange and the first episode of Defiance, I mean, the guys you're talking about taking on, you've got Sicken, Tremor, Ethan Cross, and Juggernaut, all of whom are undefeated in competition with Ultimate Championship Wrestling. I mean, you're at 500, so to speak. You're starting fresh.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's where the Darkhorse comes in, because I got the tools to get the job done. I might not always get the win, but win, lose, or draw, the other guy's going to know he's been in the fight.
Well, I happen to agree with you. I mean, like I said, we saw you at the Big O Boogie when you took on Sicken, had a tremendous matchup with him, and then, of course, your victory against Ron Holiday, which, speaking of, if we're looking at wins and losses, poor Ron Holiday has got a little bit of a losing streak going on.
Definitely not a Holiday.
No, not for him, unfortunately. He gave me a decent fight, and I came out on top, surprisingly. The power slam out of nowhere got the job done that night.
So, when we first talked to you about, who is Joe King, what do you finish off your opponents with? You told us about the Killing Joke. Yeah. So, I'm excited for the first time we get to see this unveiled at Ultimate Championship Wrestling. Is that an opportunity for you to separate yourself from the pack?
Absolutely. I mean, the Killing Joke is one of those moves where if I hit it, it's over. So, I mean, I didn't have to bust it out against Ron Holiday. I was gonna be going for that after the power slam if he didn't end up kicking out, but he didn't kick out, so I got the win off that alone. But the Killing Joke will definitely be there when the time is right. And I mean, I have other moves in my arsenal as well. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time, so I know how to stretch people also. So don't be surprised if you see a submission victory in there once in a while.
Well, I mean, we're certainly looking forward to seeing the next matchup for Joe King. Hey, before we go ahead and get ready to kind of let you go for the evening, a couple questions. So we talked to you about Ethan Cross. What are your thoughts on UCW's first ever heavyweight champion?
Juggernaut. Juggernaut. Well, I've had a match with Juggernaut before. He is as strong as he looks. He hasn't been doing this for a while, so I think anybody who goes against him you're not going to outmuscle the guy. It's not going to happen. The only way to defeat Juggernaut would be using his inexperience against him. That's if the guy who's facing has more experience.
Right.
He's young, but he's strong as the ox. he's going to throw you around whether you want to go or not. He packs a hell of a punch too. So I mean, if I were to have the opportunity to fight him again, I would know what to look out for. He might get the best of me. He might easily defeat me. Who knows? But that's why we have the matches to see who gets the victory that night. 9 times out of 10, he might beat me, but that one time when the title's on the line, I might get that victory.
So you mentioned the strength of Juggernaut, and you mentioned he's got a heck of a right hand. We know it as the Reveille. How many times has he dropped you with that right hand? Be honest.
To my memory, not the best in the world, but he definitely knocked me out once, maybe twice,
oh, wow.
if I remember correctly. Yeah, the one time was an outdoor show in Elizabeth City, and we were having a match over the #1 contendership that day, and he cleaned my clock. Let me tell you, I don't remember much after that, but hell of a right hand.
So, do you think with his victory over Papa Stro that was like a fluke, or do you think maybe that it was just him getting the better of his opponent?
Papa Stro's been around for a long time. He knows what he's doing. Juggernaut, I mean, you can never count a guy out just because he hasn't been around for a while. He
Right.
got that victory because he earned that victory. He's been working hard in the gym, training. He trains down here in Yorktown at Primetime Wrestling Academy. I see him there once in a while when I go. I see him posting on Facebook and Twitter when he's working out, what he's doing. He earned that victory. Now if he can keep the title, getting the title is one thing, keeping it is another.
Well, that's absolutely true. He's got his first title defense against Jeffrey Bravo. Not a lot that I can really bring myself up to speed on for Mr. Bravo. You have any information on the upcoming challenger?
I'm not. I mean, I've never honestly heard of the guy before, but if the company is bringing him in for a championship match, they must feel he's worthy for contention. So.
Well, I mean, we've got a lot of things to look forward to for October 28th. You've got some work to do on the 21st and on the 28th. You're going to be a very busy man in the month of October.
Where can people find you on social media?
Ooh, I came prepared. It's written here right in front of me. On Twitter, I am at Mr. Joe King 757. Also at J Crotch, JKROTCH 757. Yes, I have 2 Twitters. I like Twitter. I don't know why. On Instagram, it's at Joe King 757.
All right, and can fans catch up with you on Facebook at all? Do you have a Facebook page?
Yes, I do. I would say search for at Joe King. Should be easy enough to spot a picture of me. I'm on there.
So, before we close out with you for the evening, your thoughts on UCW Defiance as far as just the success? Do you feel it was a solid run for the first outing?
Absolutely. Your first couple shows as a new company. I mean, it's not really a new company, but they took a long break and now it's back.
Mm-hmm.
But getting back into the swing of things, getting that first show under your belt at Orange was it was my first experience in that company. That was a really fantastic event. It's more laid back and relaxed. This time around at Defiance, it was a TV taping. There were the cameras going. I could tell some of the guys in the locker room were nervous about getting in the ring that night. I mean, you're filming for TV, so
right.
You gotta look your best. You gotta do your best. You gotta put on your you gotta put on the best you got that night. Because there are other guys who want to come into this company and get the spotlight. We're given the opportunity to do in the ring what we want to do, and then be seen by people on on TV and actually come out to the live shows. So we're heading in the right direction. That's for sure.
Well, hey, thank you so much for joining us tonight on Corner to Corner. We're excited to have had you, And we look forward to seeing you again very soon at UCW. Folks, if you get a chance to check out Mr. King over at, you said Next Evolution Wrestling, correct?
Yes, Next Evolution Wrestling.
All right, so that's Next Evolution Wrestling that's coming up soon for Joe King.
Hey, Joe.
Yes.
I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Juggernaut. The best place to get seafood down there?
Best place to get seafood down here. I live in Yorktown. I would say the best place to get seafood is a little business called the Scrimp Shack.
Scrimp Shack.
Yes, it's actually, I can actually walk there in about 5 minutes. I'm very close to the place. Best fish sandwich in town.
Very cool. I'll have to check that out next time I'm in Yorktown. I'm in Yorktown very often.
Well, Joe, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We definitely appreciate your time, and we look forward to talking to you soon.
Not a problem. Anytime, guys.
Have a great one.
Joe King!
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Joe King from Ultimate Championship Wrestling. The King has officially left the broadcast booth. You know, I'm looking forward to October 28th. We at Corner to Corner have gotten the exclusive, if you will. We've gotten the match listing, the rundown for Ultimate Championship Wrestling on October 28th. And that's going to be highlighted by a crowning of the first ever women's champion for Ultimate Championship Wrestling, Tessa Valentine taking on Tara Calloway. Now, Tara Calloway, you may be familiar with her online. She's done a lot of work over at on Shimmer and I believe on Shine as well. She is also headed up a group called Dropkick Depression, which is basically a group of wrestlers helping to support each other through their depression and their challenges that come from that. So be aware that this is taking place on the 28th of October, the first ever UCW Ladies Champion. Now, as we look towards the main event of Defiance Episode 2, Juggernaut will be defending the UCW title against Jeffrey Bravo. Gosh. Guys, Jeffrey Bravo. Now, I know we've heard of a Dino Bravo, totally different guy, but Jeffrey Bravo. Johnny Bravo.
Johnny.
Can you recall ever hearing of Jeffrey Bravo? In the silence.
I'm sure we can do some homework.
We're gonna have to do some research on Mr. Bravo and try to find out who this challenger is. He could be a dark horse, just like Mr. King. Could be somebody that has a presence about him that we just have never seen. And that's okay, because Ultimate Championship Wrestling is bringing in new talent from start to finish. They're bringing in lots of guys that have experience, guys that are brand new, and they are, in a lot of ways, brand new to a lot of us. So we're going to be learning an awful lot about him as we go forward. Now, we were talking about, some of the news of the week there. We were talking about the cease and desist with the Bucks. We talked about the goodness, I'm at a loss.
We talked about Cody Rhodes.
Thank you. Gosh, I just got lost mid-sentence
We've talked about the importance that UCW will be crowning their first ever women's champion at October 28th on Defiance. Like, come on now. They crowned their heavyweight champion last month. Next month, they're crowning the women's champion.
And that's an exciting thing for them. I mean, them taking on a role of really putting the women on the spotlight, which WWE has done, Ring of Honor has done, many companies have done. So it's good to see that they are on board with that and bringing in two very top quality talents.
I mean, I think it will renew the argument, or not the argument, because we don't really have arguments on this show. We have discussion about the difference between WWE and the rest of the wrestling world.
Right.
As you look at the women's division in WWE, okay? Those women made their name, most of them, in NXT or like Mickie James.
Right.
From the past. But it seems like the women's wrestling division in WWE is kind of to me, it's starting to go backwards of what it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited because I think UCW has a chance to rekindle that fire in the women's division all over the place.
Right.
When you're bringing in somebody from Shimmer and Shine, and I mean the caliber of talent they've got coming in here, it's gonna not only are they going to crown a women's champion, but they're going to have a hardworking, talented women's champion.
Right. Somebody that number one they can count on, but number two that we can count on.
Instant cred is what I'm trying to say.
Exactly. And that's a big deal. Now, Papa Stro is going to be at Defiance, and he's going to be taking on Hiro Morimoto. Did I say it right that time? Just making sure I got it right. So
I don't know. No.
Going to be killing me. You're killing me. Hey, the tag team championship is going to be up for grabs. Noise Pollution defending against Aaron Bradley and Stan Styles. Now, Stan Styles, I've seen that guy before. I'm pretty sure he's taken part of a style battle from WWN and Flow Slam. As far as Aaron Bradley, his name definitely sounds familiar to me, and I'm going to continue to do more research because a lot of these guys, just like I was saying earlier, are new, and at least new to us. And that's okay. I mean, that's what new excitement's all about. So, Tremor taking on R.L. Smith. We've got Mr. Big Stuff, who will be at the ring, ready to compete, and he's going to be taking on MC123. Now, at first, just being completely honest, full disclosure here.
ABC. Easiest 1, 2, 3.
All right, at least finish the song. You got to
1, 2, 3. You beat me. No.
Wow.
Sorry.
That's catchy, Rob. Maybe you and KR Superstar could do a duet. No? Okay. Well, that was awkward.
That is what you hear. Crickets. Stan
So-
made a joke. It didn't work.
I saw the matchup here with Big Stuff taking on MC123, and I thought, wait a minute, something about this doesn't seem right. It's got to be, Fatty McNasty under a pseudonym or something. But no, MC123 is an actual different competitor entirely. But with what we saw at Defiance, with Big Stuff not really getting an opportunity to compete, but getting his hand raised, I'm sure that he's going to be anxious, and this could put Mr. MC123 in a very compromising position. The television championship's going to be up for grabs. Mr. Ethan Cross, thank you, Brian, will be defending his television championship against Sickened. Now, Juggernaut had an interview a few days ago with the Big Gold Belt podcast, and he was saying that he wouldn't be surprised if Sickened came away with the victory there. Guys, do you think we could be seeing a new TV champion?
I'm thinking it's very highly probable that it could take place. Because think about it, like Ethan Cross fought in the last one in Defiance.
He did.
Right. This time he's going against Sickened. Sickened has worked his way up from the opening match to a number one contenders match.
Right.
Who has got, he's got momentum on his side. So he very well could dethrone Ethan Cross. I'm not saying anything, taking anything away from Ethan Cross.
Right.
Or Mr. Humphrey whatever.
Ooh.
Humphrey DuPont.
Be careful.
Wait.
And here it comes.
Wait. As an ambassador of goodwill for Mr. Humphrey J. and Mr. Ethan Cross, I cannot allow this line of questioning to continue because it's pure poppycock.
Can I quote you on that?
Sure can.
That it was what?
Poppycock. Mr. Ethan Cross.
Mr. Cross.
Mr. Cross, correct. And I'm glad you got that straight.
Well, I mean, I was in an uncomfortable position at the first episode of Defiance where Mr. DuPont and Mr. Cross on my left and right. Are you going to get their name wrong when you're sitting between the two of them?
No.
Exactly. It was quite uncomfortable.
So let me pose this question to you two.
Pose it. Put it out there. What you got?
The single champions, not
Single.
noise pollution.
Okay.
The single champions. Who's had more title defense?
Ethan Cross.
But
Mr.
y'all are not that
Ethan
quick
Cross.
to throw Juggernaut under the bus, are you?
And if you remember my comments,
this could be if you look at Juggernaut, this could be another hand-picked opponent by the boss.
this was not a hand-picked opponent. Sicken went and won a number one contenders match.
But he hadn't
It's
done
not a
nothing yet.
hand-picked component.
He has not done nothing yet.
Sicken hadn't done anything.
He
hasn't won
the
the two
only
matches
thing
he's been in.
won, The only thing he's won is a triple threat match. Let's not write checks that his butt may not be able to cash.
Well, let's say that he has the same win-loss record in UCW that the champ does.
And that is a valid point. This is an interesting topic of discussion.
You know,
I mean,
I'm not
Juggernaut?
saying because I like Ethan Cross. I'm not saying that Ethan Cross is going to
stop
lose.
it, stop
I'm
it.
just saying
No.
Sicken has got momentum on its side.
What have I told
Brian
you to call
is taking
Mr. Cross?
hashtag, I don't know, company line.
What have I
Whoa.
told you to call Mr. Cross? Stan,
it is
would you like to enlighten him?
Mr. Cross.
It is Mr. Cross. Stan had to find out the hard way.
It was uncomfortable. I mean, there were two very, well, one not so large man and one very intimidating man that were beside
I
me.
mean, if we like to play these episodes back,
No.
let's
He does. I don't think he
let's-
knows what you're talking about, Stan.
let's
Tell
go-
him what you're talking about.
Well, at Defiance, and by the way, you too can hear Defiance right here on Spreaker.com/user/corner2corner. Just check out UCW Defiance Episode 1. It is available now for your listening enjoyment. Anyway, back to the show. So at Episode 1, there we are. We're sitting and having a discussion about the upcoming Triple Threat.
Oh, you should listen.
Brian decides,
Very
oh, I'm going to the bathroom. And he stands up and he starts to walk away. And I am joined by Humphrey J. DuPont the Fourth.
Mister.
Humphrey J. DuPont the Fourth. And the television champion, Mr. Ethan Cross. I don't know about a Humphrey, but Mr. Ethan Cross. So anyway, they take over the broadcast position. Mr. Cross is asked by Humphrey, of course, hey, who do you want to face out of this triple threat? Mr. Cross, of course, says, I don't care. Doesn't matter. Whomever it is. So he was quite confident.
Which the champion should say.
Right. I agree. He should be confident. He is the champion for a
He's
reason.
a champ.
But at the same time, he did specify with me. This was kind of awkward. But he did specify it is Mr. Ethan Cross. Like, the champ actually did convey this, which was a little...
Now, I'd like to just go on record, okay? Me and Mr. Cross, we did talk in the back, okay? That's where I got Mr. Cross from. He enlightened me in the back.
Did you by any chance...
I knew he was coming. And I showed him the respect that he is due as champ.
Did you by any chance tell Mr. Cross that you rooted against him at the Big Old Boogie?
We openly had that discussion here on the internet.
And which one of the triple threat picked him from the beginning?
But now you're turning your back on him.
No, I did not. If you listened up, I said it could happen that Sick can win. You all of a sudden heard it as, oh, wait a minute.
So
he's picking against Mr.
Let's
Cross.
rewind the tapes. Rob, who's your pick?
I said Sicken has momentum going in. I never actually picked.
Who's your pick?
I didn't actually pick. You jumped in on it and started talking.
Who's your pick?
I didn't pick anybody. You start jumping in and talking.
You hear the backpedaling?
Nope.
We need a referee.
If he was a pickup truck, he'd have a beeper going on right now. He's backpedaling so much.
I'd say Sicken's got it.
So there you go. All
Okay.
right.
Sicken's got the momentum.
At least he's honest.
Rob is honest. Rob Stradamus is here. And he is
At least he's
advising...
honest.
At least I picked Mr. Cross from the beginning, and I didn't jump on the company bandwagon when he got the title.
Wait.
That's not
Who we saying that
true
to?
because Afterwards,
what?
I'm pretty sure while we talked to him, some of us apparently did jump on the bandwagon, while others said, I'm out of here because you're just not the guy for me. That's you.
No.
That's you.
No.
I felt that Ethan Cross was his surprise to me when he won the title in Orange. I admit it. I thought Mr. Grimm was going to get him. Now, in my defense, I was not aware that Mr. Cross and Mr. Grimm had a history from a previous company. So apparently, Mr. Grimm, unfortunately, has been on the losing end for Mr. Cross for quite a while. But, hey, I didn't know that from before. Learned that, as a matter of fact, from Mr. Cross and Humphrey DuPont. Now, I will say this. I have to agree with Rob that Sicken does have the momentum. But when MV Young and Ethan Cross and Humphrey DuPont laid into the new number one contender, we don't know the condition of Sicken right now.
Well, let me ask you this. Let's talk about momentum real quick. Did Sicken win the TV title in Orange, Virginia?
No,
Did
he defeated the King.
That's not what I asked.
He wasn't up for the TV title.
The TV title.
He did not win it at the Big O Boogie. You're right.
Did he defend the TV title at Defiance?
No.
Episode Uno.
Uno. Numero
No,
uno.
so he didn't.
You're right.
Right.
You're right.
So he didn't. Is he the face on the posters?
He is a face on the poster.
No. Is he the face on the poster?
I would argue the face on the poster
Because
is
I want
Juggernaut.
you just
Juggernaut.
until Juggernaut won, Mr. Cross was the best champion they had.
Okay.
Singles competitor. Singles competitor.
Is it too early in the UCW history to say dream match Juggernaut and Ethan Cross?
I mean, Ethan Cross is the longest reigning champion in the UCW.
Thank you, Rob. But you're still not back on the bandwagon.
But
I didn't jump off the bandwagon.
I mean, right now you could be like laying your coat down over the mud puddle so Mr. Cross does not get them fancy shoes dirty.
I think Mr. DuPont would be okay with me saying that you have earned street cred with him.
No.
Some cred points.
Every step he takes forward, he backs up 2 or 3.
But see, here's the thing. We were at the show.
What did DuPont tell you about mine and your score?
Well, that was...
You were 2 or 3,
No, I had 3.
and I was 105
that's my
or
3
something like
points.
that. That's about where he's at right now.
Take my points away from me. I thought, honestly, looking back and listening to the playback of the show, and this is, aside from what we're talking about right now, one of the things that stood out for me for Ultimate Championship Wrestling was the overall professional feel that everybody brought to the table. And this is just more of a personal, observation. We were, first and foremost, when we got to Skydive Orange, and we got to sit down and talk with not just the promoter and the guys in the back, we got to talk to the wrestlers right off the top. And one of the guys that was the most cordial to us and one of the first ones that sat down with us was Sicken.
Oh, so you're biased.
I have
biased.
to say that
It's
I think
okay.
he's got a good shot.
It's all right. I'll make sure that I talk to Mr. Cross again in the back.
Oh, wow.
And I'll allow him to guest commentate for me.
Wow.
Do some play-by-play.
Yeah. So again, it's going to be, I'm going to the bathroom. Mr. Cross, please take my seat.
There is no please nothing.
You gonna massage his temples?
He talks to me over a nice bottle of Chianti.
Oh,
And,
no. And some fava beans.
hey, you know what I'm saying?
Wait, is he like that?
You just don't know. So
Whoa.
you cross him if you want to.
No.
And see what happens to you.
Hey,
But I will make sure. I dare say the bounty may come into play in the next one, October.
Here we are back on this bounty crap.
I dare say it may come into play. But I'm willing right here, right now, and I hope he's listening. I'm sure he is. He's a friend of mine. Okay? I know I pay attention to him. He pays attention to me. We chat every once in a while. I can't help it, fellas. I cannot help it. But I'll stress that you would like to have him sit beside you again.
Hey, I will say this, and again, this is kind of a side view. Ethan Cross, one of the first to join us on the air with Corner to Corner.
Yeah, stop.
And very cordial and very professional and had a very compelling story. So, hey,
Stop.
I think that Sickened has a lot of momentum, I agree with Rob. You cannot take away from the TV champion. And I think
That's what I said.
and I think
Here, by the way, that's for you.
what's
Because you're
this?
trying to butter the man up and it's not working.
Well, I mean, I'd rather butter him up than stick my nose up his rear.
Oh.
But, you know.
Oh, listen. You're going to do more than that come October.
Ew, this is awkward.
So, I'm just sorry, fellas.
This show
I'm
just
sorry.
took a very uncomfortable turn.
Oh, yeah. You're going to pay the price.
I don't think so. I mean, he's going to be kind of busy. He's going to have Sickened, and
No.
he's going to have MB Young at his side. I mean, you know, maybe he'll.
Oh,
have some
so
fun.
you're overlooking MB Young. Is that what you're doing?
I just acknowledged MV Young. I think.
Oh, at his side. So now there's Mr. DuPont, and I'm going to even pull up a chair for MV Young.
Wouldn't he be Mr. Young?
No.
He's got to earn
champ.
the Mister.
The champ is Mr.
Well, I think Humphrey DuPont the fourth would agree that we need to pay him the proper respect as he is now part of the family. So, you know, who knows? I think we may actually see DuPont and MV Young in the corner.
I tell you what I'm going to do right here, right now.
Right now, right here.
Right here, right now, I am going to put up a sign for Mr. Cross
Wait, what?
and MB Young
No.
on chairs that I'm
No.
going to put right beside me.
Reserved
and
seating.
Anytime they feel like coming out, there it is. They can have him.
So Mr. DuPont doesn't get a chair?
Well, no, he is on your left.
That's true. On your left.
On your left.
It's like
Mr.
a
Cross
Captain
and
America movie.
MB Young will be on your right.
Hey, Rob, can you make sure you sit like directly on my right so they can be on your right this time? Please, buddy. Huh?
I
I
think
can't confirm nor deny.
Crap. Stupid bounties.
I didn't say bounty. You said bounty.
No,
I didn't.
you
say bounty.
said bounty.
I did not say bounty.
You
You
said
brought
bounty.
the bounty up.
You did.
No, you brought the
No,
bounty.
you
They're
did.
just going to be the quicker
Quicker picker up.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is
quicker picker upper.
okay. All right, back on track. So, okay.
The toilet pole. The paper towel
The
bounty.
what? What the hell did you
How
just
funny would that be? Here's your bounty. Paper towel.
Yeah. I said it was a bounty. I didn't say what it was.
Yeah, I got beat up for a paper towel.
I would be so pissed.
That would be funny.
Then just go in the ring, and while Stan's laid out, you hold the bounty on top of him. Be like, it's supposed to be a quick picker upper.
No. Please, God.
Now, for the record, if that happens to show up on anybody's television station, network,
Yeah, I think the last thing that people want to see is my out of shape derriere.
no, I'm going to talk about
in
you.
the ring.
Okay, this is not about you.
It's of course
You wouldn't hit the ring
everything's
very
about
hard
me.
the first time.
This is about somebody being laid underneath paper towels.
That's awkward. This is getting weird.
I think it was a good angle.
I think it's right. I think Rob. I mean, Rob is now earning points. Wait, let me. I just got a text. Let me check this out.
Boo! Boo! This
Rob's
man!
got a few points. Your points have gone down drastically.
You can't get in on this game. I was just catching up. It's still anyone's race, really. Are we? No? Okay, we're not playing that.
That's what the people say on NASCAR when they have no sponsors on their car. I got a chance today.
Hey, any man with two fists has a fighting chance. Screw you
Nope.
guys.
No.
Hate you.
I just know that Mr. DuPont and Mr. Cross and MB Young are here, and you're there.
Stan's always there.
But wait, they're not here.
Oh, they're here.
but they're not.
They're here.
You can't see them because of your seat. Oh,
You're there.
what was that?
Incoming message from the big giant head.
The big
So
blue
you're
thumb.
saying that Mr. Humphrey DuPont's a big giant head?
Have you seen
Oh,
Mr.
man.
No. Hey, if Mr. DuPont has a big giant head and KR Superstar wears lifts, I mean, there you go. Speaking of, I'm surprised I haven't heard anything from him.
How hilarious would it be, since Humphrey DuPont was already been on our show, if he just happened to just call a Skype line right now? What the f*** did you say?
The Skype line is closed. Sorry, we're not taking callers this evening.
Because we didn't pay the bill.
Hey, total side note. What if I told you that an MMA fight in the UK ended by submission with a Boston Crab?
I saw that.
And in the commentary, the guy calls it the Walls of Jericho for the call. I thought that was amazing. Chris Jericho is all about it. Hey, here's another tidbit of news. Now, there are some contracts that are coming up in WWE very soon. Brock Lesnar's contract ends after WrestleMania.
Of course it does.
It can't end any sooner than that.
Big Show.
Has it ever began? Well, Big Show's already said this is it.
Right,
He's already come out and said when his contract's up here, he's leaving.
right.
So I would like to think they'd give him one more title reign. But since they can't get the belt off the part-timer,
Well, I mean, that's a tough call. I mean, right now, unfortunately, the obvious road to WrestleMania, as we're going to call it, is
detours through Bourville.
Well, I mean, that's
First stop, Roman Reigns.
It's got to go through Roman Reigns' yard that's full of dog poop.
Ew, gross. Anyway, getting back to the contract discussion, we'll just put all that aside. Hey,
So you still think Cody would come back to wrestle Roman Reigns?
no, but see, this is the thing. Roman's 15 minutes, okay? I think he's coming up on that spot.
But Cody's
ledge.
going to wrestle Roman at some VFW somewhere. When
Yeah, but
Cody
that's
comes
fine.
in and makes millions or thousands, and Roman's standing there selling $20 autographs.
Hey, I like the $20 autographs.
I mean, you guys know I like Roman.
Best for $40.
Oh, that's so sad that would probably happen. But here's the thing, and I'm a Roman Reigns fan. I've always said that, but he is clearly coming up at the end of that 15 minutes of fame. I mean, after
He's in
WrestleMania,
overtime right now.
Yeah.
maybe, but at the same time, I can't see him going any further than
Listen,
WrestleMania.
Right now, he's on that screen. Remember the pay-per-views? When you'd order the pay-per-view, and it had that view, like the free view, and then right before the pay-per-view came on, had that screen that counted down, that everybody's like, what are they
Staring at
doing? That's where Roman Reigns' career is.
Right.
On
Coming
that
up.
screen of nobody cares.
Wow. Well,
Roman
I won't
Reigns-
disagree because the reaction for his match with Cena was like,
Roman
I
Reigns.
still think it's his
And
worst.
what did they do when they discussed that match?
Oh, that drove me
it
nuts. I'm
was
glad
a
you bring that up.
passing of the torch.
And they called it WrestleMania caliber, and it drove me insane. I'm like, this
Listen.
match is awful. There was not a good matchup for either guy.
It's the machine. They're going to do whatever they think you need to see.
And I mean, on
Where do you think the people who run political campaigns work when it's not campaign season?
oh god,
They're writers for the WWE.
that explains so much. It really does.
Because they're like, oh, look, one person cheered, so Roman Reigns is a crowd favorite. That's his mom. Of course she's going to cheer.
You talking
Forget
about
the
his
other
mother?
30,000 people that are booing.
So here's a question. Let's go down the card. I wasn't really trying to head towards Roman Reigns, but
Yeah, you were.
with
what?
with the Cruiserweight Championship, with Enzo beating Neville at the pay-per-view.
Okay, and again, so this is the guy that supposedly has so much heat backstage, and
Right.
nobody likes him because he's always in character, and all these other stupid little things he's done, yet he's the guy that beats Neville?
And the Monday night after, all the cruiserweights come out, and this was the main event segment on Raw, the night after No Mercy. Enzo's in the ring celebrating, stating that he's got a no contact clause, and anybody that hits him before their title match forgoes their title match. or maybe it was just Neville's rematch clause.
No, I think it was foregoes them ever getting a title or something.
So Neville comes down to the ring and assaults Enzo Amore. And now everybody is beating up Enzo. But not before Braun Strowman runs down, beats the hell out of Enzo again, and now it's everybody's after Enzo on 205 Live. As weird as it seems, is Enzo good for 205 Live now? In other words, him being the bad guy champion, and everyone, not just Neville, but everyone chasing him, with probably Neville being the front runner, is this the thing that can turn 205 Live around as far as a show?
All right, so I want you to do me a favor right now. I want you to take your headset off. I want you to put it down, and I want you to walk away. That's the most absurd question I've heard this afternoon.
Wow. That's a pretty strong response. Rob, would you agree?
I think it's currently the dumbest thing going on for 205 Live.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, you've got Neville. Mm-hmm. You've got Kendrick, the Brian Kendrick. You've got TJ Perkins. You've got Cedric Alexander. You've got Rick Swann. You've got those guys who've been there from the beginning. Main event caliber wrestlers. And you're going to put the belt on Enzo Amore. Basically, you know what they just told the entire 205 roster? You're not ready to carry the belt. Because you had Austin Aries, a bona fide champ, and they didn't put it on him.
And what did he do? He had enough butt behind him to say, I'm out of here.
Yeah, as soon as his contract was up, he was gone.
So, I mean...
No, I don't think it was up. I'm pretty sure if I remember right, he asked for his release, and they gave it to him.
Yeah, I think you're right on that.
I mean, I think 205 Live desperately needs a shot in the arm to keep going, to get something relevant. Maybe what they need to do is develop something so they're not all chasing one guy.
Maybe a tag title.
Put a cruiserweight tag title. Put an international cruiserweight title. Do something to get people more interested in. There's more skin in the game than who's going to face Neville.
Or let's take 205 Live away as a show and just put it on Raw the way they were.
Well, they put all the high points on Raw anyway.
Well, yeah, but the thing with that is now you are adding an additional 15 to 20 wrestlers into a show that is
already
way too bogged down.
Yeah.
It's too hop heavy anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Think about the people, the wrestlers that you don't see on a weekly basis who are main event caliber wrestlers that you don't see because there's no place for them right now in the storyline.
Right.
I mean, how many times have you gone to a WWE live event and a wrestler come out and you're like, damn, they still work here? And you're like, whoa. But it's because they're not on TV. You don't have 45 minutes of somebody getting in the ring. They don't have 45 minutes of John Cena and Roman Reigns going at it and John Cena making him look like a yeah.
I mean, here's a clever idea. Anybody want to go back to the Cruiserweight Classic? Reminisce with me for a minute?
I'm always ready to reminisce.
Anybody want to tell me what the crowd was chanting?
Oh, yeah, for Cedric.
For Cedric?
Yeah, please sign Cedric.
So he is clearly the most over guy you had in the tournament. And then so 205 doesn't go the right way, and you have to bring in Neville.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with Neville. I've enjoyed him being 205 champ, cruiserweight champ, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
I've enjoyed that. But yet he has fallen further and further and further behind. Now, this is a legit guy that you could put the title on to give that show a shot. Legit. And what'd you do? What have you done with him so far?
Well, I agree with you there. I mean, he hasn't been given the proper, we'll just say, opportunity as far as going forward. But, okay, so...
Wait, hold on, real quick. Why not Hideo Itami.
Another good idea.
Let him flounder on NXT. Put him in a show that needs his abilities.
Mm-hmm. But there again, the question remains, in the long run, not for Enzo specifically, because I think his end game is after he's done here. Unless something magic happens, he's probably gone. Or maybe back to NXT. But what he's doing right now is pulling attention, in my opinion, it's a positive way that he's pulling attention to 205 Live, because now everybody's wanting to see who's going to take him down. Before, I mean, Neville, you're right, was a great champion and did very well. And once he went heel and then won the belt, it was a big deal. And it did wonders for his career. And Cedric is, in my opinion, the guy. I mean, if you're really going to build a brand or a show, I mean, why not make him the center? And Hideo Itami is another great idea. So
Gallagher.
I like Jack Gallagher, yeah.
Tony Nese.
It's like those guys haven't even gotten a whiff of the belt, though.
Right. Nothing at all. Yeah.
I mean, we sat there with the Brian Kendrick for almost a year of his last chance.
Right.
I mean, they ran him just like they do a Sasha Banks rematch.
Ooh. Ouch.
I mean, every night it's a Sasha Banks rematch or an Alexa Bliss rematch or so. There's amazing how many rematches there are.
I want you to pay attention to this, though, Stan. I want you to pay attention. This was a stalwart machine guy.
Mm-hmm.
If you notice, he's starting to change. It's time you take a step back and look.
But I'm not talking about it from that perspective. You're just talking about it in that moment. You're not talking about a long-term vision there.
But you have to talk about it because if Enzo fails, which he will, then guess what else fails?
Well, I think 205 Live was definitely challenged a whole lot more before he got there.
But again, if they don't have the forethought to put Cedric Alexander or Tony Nese or give these other guys opportunities instead of, how long did you say Kendrick had his last chance? A year?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And that was wasted opportunities. They could have put that show on the map.
But if in the long run, if it ends up with, we'll just use Cedric because he's, in my opinion, I think he's the guy that should be. If Cedric Alexander is the guy that knocks off Enzo Amore and then becomes the hero of 205, then why can't they use that and build to that, maybe to the Rumble or maybe Mania if they decided to, but I don't know that 205 would last that long. But if they stretch it to the Rumble, and then, like I said, once Enzo is done as champion, I mean, unless something special happens with him, I just don't see him sticking around. But in that moment, in that timeline, why couldn't that be served to help 205 Live?
What's hurt 205 Live is they kept it on Raw. If they would have had it as a standalone product on the network, like they do NXT, it would be its own product right now.
Do you think it would draw?
Because I'll tell you this is honest truth. I have never once turned the network on to watch 205 Live.
Why? I have never either.
Because I can see all the highlights on Raw.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like when they used to do the play-by-play for SmackDown. You know? Like, you don't see them do a play-by-play every week or have a special spot on the Raw roster or Raw or Monday Night Raw for NXT. Because you have to tune into NXT to see it.
Right.
If WWE would have done that from the beginning and said, you know what? 205 Live, it's its own show. Boom. Have a Raw where you're like, here are the stars of 205 Live, and then boom, you don't see him again. That would have drawn attention to people because people would have then tuned into it. Because it's the same platform that NXT uses. Mm-hmm. And NXT continues to grow.
Right.
Continues to succeed.
Because, again, to Rob's point, okay, even getting back to the Brian Kendrick, if you go back and think, when it was put on Raw, what was the only match you ever saw?
It was
Kendrick versus
and
TJP. TJP. Right? That was it. That was really it. Or some dumb six-man
match. Yeah.
And they were always the same people. So, but they tell you, well, tune in tomorrow night for Kendrick versus Perkins one more time.
Right.
It's his last match. And this went on for months. Why turn it on? It's too late. I don't know if you can actually, short of bringing in
Rey Mysterio.
Somebody. From
And there's
the
chatter
outside.
about that right now.
But why would he do it?
Yeah, why would he do it?
I don't think he'd do it right now. I don't think
know?
there's a reason, and I don't think his body, unfortunately, could take it. I don't think
sure
he
he
could.
could.
I think in his point in his career, to me, a cruiserweight title is a title on par, on level with Intercontinental United States. It's not a world title to me. So for Rey Mysterio, who is now going around in Lucha and other places fighting for the world title, it'd just be like AJ Styles coming to 205 Live right now. Be like, yo, I'm in the house. Too sweet.
Yeah, I mean,
And he can
sorry,
do that.
I just did it.
Rob's getting sued.
Damn it.
plus to me though, the cruiserweight champ should wrestle a different way.
I agree.
Is Enzo Amore going to be able to wrestle that away?
And I see your point, and I don't disagree. All I'm pointing out is that if there's a long-term story and the payoff ends out with, and again, by long-term, I'm thinking maybe the Rumble, because I seriously don't think 205 Live right now has the lifespan past that point, unless something, like you guys described, a shot in the arm, helps to turn it around.
I don't even know if a shot ultimately gets it past.
Well, and the thing is, with 205 Live, the way it's recorded and broadcast right now, it's done with SmackDown's TV crew. So the folks that go to SmackDown are there for 2 hours of SmackDown and then one more hour of 205 Live. So the big concern right now is, are they drawing enough people, and how can they get a larger audience? So if the long-term plan here is Enzo stays champ to the Rumble, and again, I think Cedric's the choice there. Cedric knocks off, God, I almost said Neville. Enzo knocks off Enzo Amore. Is that enough? Because you know that with the way that Enzo's playing up his bad guy run, he's going to get beat up and carried out and thrown out of the building when he loses that belt. So, I mean, is that
All
enough?
you gotta do is call Cass in.
Well,
Cass whipped his ass for 6 months.
that would be just fantastic.
You know,
He
like,
loses the belt. He's all head hung low, and then boom, right to the head. Down goes Enzo. But see, that's the thing. If this was when 205 first started, I don't know that people would have been excited about Enzo, but I think the long-term vision could have stretched past the Rumble. But right now, if their plan is to do a long-term storyline where Enzo loses in a big payoff, the Rumble is as far as you can go.
205 Live should have been filmed at Full Sail University, just like, as I said, NXT.
Now that is a great idea, and I like that idea. It would sell tickets easily.
Well, I mean, that people are arguing that it's on the same night as SmackDown, and that's too much.
Right.
How many WWE shows have you been to where they have filmed a whole nother show before the show even started? Sunday Night Heat, Superstars,
Velocity, Metal.
those things. They film it before the show. So, I mean, you're just like, hey, this is cool, because most of the time those shows mean nothing. I mean, Sunday Night Heat, how many title changes and how many storylines changed on Sunday Night Heat?
Not much. Not
and
much.
so, to me, it's what I hope they don't do with this women's, they just had the Mae Young Classic. It would be great for them just to keep the Mae Young Classic as a tournament.
Yeah, not make it just a women's show.
Not bring
Right,
a women's
right.
show in, because, I mean, do we need one? I don't think so.
And there's too much of a need on the main rosters, including NXT.
I mean,
for
I
more
think
women.
you have too many women in the main roster right now that aren't getting anything.
But to me, though, I think with the failed... to me, the vision behind both was Triple H. And
Very
probably
true.
Stephanie.
Yeah.
However, to me, again, you clearly can tell the distinct difference between the two shows. And when you put the cruiserweights on Raw, it failed miserably because Raw is failing miserably.
Well, it's got the Vince touch.
Yeah, right. But that's what I'm saying. However, I think with that track record, very easily Stephanie and Triple H can say, no, we want our hands in this. Mm-hmm. And it will be something different than 205 Live. And it may, to your point, film out of Full Sail, have its own night, doesn't cross over except for a major pay-per-view, 4 times a year, maybe, isn't it? Like 4 times a year, NXT, is back-to-back with a pay-per-view.
Schedule.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I think maybe the women's would probably come out better just because 205 has fallen flat on its face.
Well, I mean, I think it's high time that they add more. Like, it's the argument or the discussion we've had for years. If you're going to put your world title on a part-time person who's not going to defend it, and everybody's aiming towards now the U.S. title or the Intercontinental title, I mean, right now the Miz is doing a main event world title heel run as the Intercontinental title because your main event title holder isn't there.
Right.
So, to me, if you've got Alexa Bliss doing her title run, okay? Why not bring in a tag team title for the women or a lower tier singles title for the women? You've got the Raw Women's title. Why can't you have a Raw Women's United or a Women's US title?
Well, I think, though, that there aren't enough women on each show to do that.
I think there's enough. I just don't think they market them.
Well, yeah, but
when's the last time you saw Becky Lynch on a program?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, if we use Raw, and we'll just use that. So Alexa Bliss is champ, right? Bayley, Sasha, Nia would be the ones at the top. So who would hold the second tier title?
You wouldn't constantly have a 5-way title chase for the title.
Yeah, but you would
separate 2 out of the pack, and then the rest of them would go for the second tier title.
So then it would be Alexa Bliss versus Sasha all the time.
No, whoever's that second tier would. It's just like everything else.
Yeah, but there are more male wrestlers than there are the 6 female wrestlers.
But the women are never going to be given their due if they're not given the proper things, just like the guys.
But they don't have enough people to do it. If you combine both rosters, all for it. But again, it's the same problem. They're going to be too top heavy. Mm-hmm. And in order to supplement that second title, you have to then bring people up. The more people you bring up, the more you bog down Raw. And then it's going to become a 4-hour show.
I mean, there's no difference between Raw's women division and SmackDown's women division right now.
Sure.
Both of them had a 5-way bout for the title.
And that's pretty much all they have, though, is 5 women. So we're going to have 2 women fight constantly for the heavyweight title.
We always got, what?
And 3 fight for the secondary title.
What's her name? Fox. You always bring her in. She's always hanging around.
Yeah. I think
Summer Rae's always around.
I don't. Is Summer
Rae? She's still there. I don't
on NXT though.
Right now, she's shaking her boots because she realized Eva Marie got fired. Now she's like, uh-oh.
Yeah, she's the last one left. I think with the women's division, the problem is more organization. You've got so many women there that are qualified, but to Brian's point, you're still going to have those same group of people that they filter through. And they don't to your point, they don't market properly.
Yeah, but again, though, if you took all the women off of Raw, all the women out for SmackDown, and then you signed maybe 5 from the tournament and put them on their own show, every last one of them would be turning into it.
Yeah, because it would be the show to watch.
It would be the show.
I mean, you could do the tag title, the mid-card title, for the women, only for the women, and then only on that show.
Only on the show, yeah.
And I think that'd be a successful promotion. I mean, I think that Triple H and Stephanie would have the foresight to do that. I think, to your point, because Vince has his hand in everything right now, we may not ever see that until he's gone.
That's why 205, back to 205 Live, that's why 205 is the way it is because Vince,
Oh,
it's
yeah,
not a
very much
priority
so.
to Vince.
Right.
It's like, if it was a priority to Vince, just like a few months ago, the tag team division. Tag team division was a priority to Vince. So what did every roster have?
Well, I mean,
A plethora of tag teams.
I don't know that it was
Established tag teams.
I think it was more priority for Triple H, not for Vince.
Right.
I think Vince did it because Triple H basically twisted his arm and said, hey, this is what was going to work. And then when Vince saw that it was getting off the ground, I've got a great idea. Let's split these guys and make these guys. And Vince still wants to make characters. Triple H still wants to make wrestlers. Like, when we watch what Samoa Joe does right now and Kevin Owens, you can see Triple H's hands in their development as they go forward.
Then we see what Jason Jordan is.
Yes,
and we see Vince's
that's a
hand.
perfect example because Jason Jordan on SmackDown was great. I mean, American Alpha was the most popular tag team they had, and the sky was the limit. I mean, they could have held the titles more than the New Day currently if they wanted to. But instead, they split them up, and they took the wrong one. The obvious choice for a reason, and yes, it's for a reason. It's not meant as a racial statement, but the obvious choice would have been Gable. So you bring Gable to Raw. He's got the same appearance as Kurt Angle, you know, the white meat babyface attitude. He's got the charisma, and he's got the talent where he's on the main stage, and he'd have done fine. But
I
Vince,
think the whole angle sucks.
Vince can make stars out of anybody. That's what he says. So he takes Jason Jordan, the lesser of the two, puts him on, and it's flopped.
But why couldn't, instead of, because Rob just like drilled the nail home that I was going to touch.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No. That's perfect. Why do we need some stupid angle that there's no believability to, that Kurt Angle and Jason Jordan's mother had a kid back in college?
Oh, I agree. I mean, if we had our druthers, American
Why
Alpha would still be a
couldn't
team.
Kurt Angle have just come out and say, you know what, I have signed a collegiate athlete from SmackDown to bring to Raw, and wasn't he in the? Was he? I mean, what are his collegiate records? Gable's.
Yeah,
They far surpassed Jason Jordan's.
Yeah.
You don't need to really bring up the Olympics, but you know he's a NCAA champion. I was an NCAA champion. You know, he tried for the Olympics. I tried for the Olympics. He's just like me. I'm gonna groom him. I'm gonna train him, and I'm gonna make him world
He's
champion.
my guy.
My guy. There you go.
And it would have gone over. There would have been no, what do you call it, shenanigans.
Right. But instead, we end up with last Monday, Miz, you stink.
That was
Or
awful.
you suck. That's what it is. You suck. That's it. That's the
I
interview.
agree.
That's it.
Wow.
And so what happens? Jason Jordan becomes an afterthought, and the Miz and the Miztourage move on to the Shield. Let's put the Shield back together.
Yeah.
And we're going to put it together against
The
the Miztourage.
Yeah, right.
While two of them are still holding the tag team titles. So there go your tag team titles for however long the feud's in play.
And instead of doing it like at a Survivor Series and having it against like main event caliber, and it's like the Shield versus like AJ Styles and the Bullet Club. And I'm not taking anything away from the Miztourage. It's just the angle and the timing is off. The Miz has his whole thing going against Kurt Angle and his whole thing going against, you know, being the best and the Machine. So why now all of a sudden he's going to go, like, we're going to throw Roman Reigns in it?
Right. And not only that, but again, Rob made the point earlier, the Miz is your only fighting champion on Raw.
And because he's the only fighting champion on Raw, now because they have to give Roman something to do, and they don't want to put him back with Braun again, he's into the Shield reunion. Wasn't really how I was looking to close out this show this evening, but somehow we've closed at Roman Reigns.
It's typical WWE programming. We have our highest parts
they
in the
got
middle,
us again.
and we suck at the end.
Oh, damn.
You
Well-
just Vince this whole show.
I didn't do it. I wasn't going for
He
that.
went UCW. Roman Reigns.
Damn. Well, I apologize.
Even Ron Simmons wouldn't even waste it.
On behalf of Corner to Corner, I, Stan Grove, would like to apologize for the Roman Reigns propaganda this evening. All right, well, let's take it on home, boys, and get this all finished up, wrapped up with a nice, pretty little bow.
Exactly.
Wait. Here's a question. Well, we got a minute, right?
Yeah, we got a couple.
So The Miz defends his title.
Correct.
AJ defends his title.
Yes.
Real quick. 2 minutes per you two.
Okay.
Who is doing more for their show right now?
Miz.
Miz or AJ?
Wow. Rob immediately says the
Miz.
Miz. Right.
Miz. AJ is doing what AJ does and what AJ has always done.
Mm-hmm.
They have a title. I mean, granted, Jinder Mahal is probably the worst world champion I've seen in a long time.
Agreed.
I mean, he rates right up there with David Arquette.
I won't say
But-
it's the worst. But
I mean, it's just his reign should have stopped. There's no way he should have gotten through not Braun, but Randy Orton.
okay.
You know, and then the whole other thing. I mean, we did the whole Punjabi prison. You know,
Horrible.
they still haven't explained where the hell the Kali came from and why he was there. You know,
It was his contract, his one appearance per year.
now he can call himself a WWE superstar still for another year. But
India loves the great
Miz,
Kali.
the Miz is constantly like. I am an AJ Styles fan. I like AJ Styles, but I just think the Miz is constantly reinventing himself, and each week it's something new. I mean, for him to take it and come out and go and spin his own wife having a baby as at least I'm not going to be a deadbeat father like Kurt Angle. You know,
And then he called Jason Jordan a bastard.
you know, like that's just that old school like Ric
Damn.
Flair like this is how it's going to be. I'm sorry. That's my 2 minutes and I'm stopped.
Stan?
Sorry, Ellie Bug.
You know, AJ Styles as U.S. champion is great, and I'm glad for him to be U.S. champion, but I have to agree with Rob. Miz has taken the Intercontinental title and not just given it – I mean, he hasn't necessarily given it prestige over time, years from now. I think he will have. But people tune in to see the Miz. They see him get beat up, they cheer. They see him beat someone up, they cheer. He is in that unique position where people tune in just to see him, and they want to see him. It doesn't matter what he does. Rob says, he announces he's going to be a dad. So then he tells Jason Jordan that he's a bastard. I mean, people want to see The Miz regardless of who he faces. If The Miz took on James Ellsworth, it would be main event. And people would tune in to see it because they would want to see James Ellsworth run around the ring to try to get away from The Miz.
I think what's going to happen is the WWE is going to be in one of those that they get every once in a while. They're letting Miz do what he does. What's going to happen is it's going to force their hand down the road, and they're going to realize the Miz is more popular
Than anyone else on the roster.
The Miz's title is now more popular than the Universal title.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I think for the serious fan, it's been that way for a long time. Unlike the U.S. title. The U.S. title's just kind of getting in that spot. Because before Jinder, I can live with Jinder. I think his opponents are terrible for him. But the U.S. title is starting to elevate itself past that title. The IC title, for a long time, has well above, the Universal title. Not so much when Dean had it, of course, but clearly when the Miz has had it, it's a whole lot different. It's a different.
Well, look at the
different
feud
ballgame.
with Miz and Dolph. I mean, that was compelling television. Every week, the Miz was running them down. You're not going to be champion. You're not as good as me. You're a fluke. Blah 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 blah. Dolph wins the title at a big pay-per-view, and the crowd goes nuts. Dolph loses it back to the Miz. The crowd still goes nuts because they know it's the Miz.
Mm-hmm.
Miz goes to Raw, and the initial feel is, oh crap, the Miz is on Raw, and then you realize not only is it a big loss for SmackDown, but it's a huge win for Raw because that night he has a matchup against Dean Ambrose, and it's a big drawing segment.
We're back in the Dean Ambrose Miz thing again.
But see, you get it, and people want to see the Miz get beat up, or people want to see the Miz beat Dean Ambrose. He moves on and moves on, and he's been blessed because he hasn't had an injury that's kept him off TV. The only time he's been forced off TV is when he was filming a movie. And to your point, I think it was last week, he took the title with him and did vignettes and did all these different things. So,
I mean, that's when he was starting to put stickers on it.
yes,
That was when he did the IC.
Yes.
This is I'm into my IC title reign, and
Yes.
and he had stickers on it. And I mean, he's just been that constant.
Yeah.
Like people want to see the chase. Like I've talked about it, and like the different things. Like if Braun would have won the Universal title, imagine the chase Bray could have had against Braun.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You owe me. That's my belt.
Mm-hmm.
Or Balor.
Oh, yeah.
Just the chat. But with Miz, he's just as funny chasing as he is being chased.
Right.
Because he knows that where, all right, I'm going to talk, but now, wait a minute, I'm going to cower it out and run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, so I think we can all agree, though, that the writers are not writing his stuff.
Oh, no.
He is in that certain level where he gets to dictate kind of what he says. Or
just like
right.
Cena and the New Day.
So, do you think that they will eventually lead to a Roman Reigns Miz feud and allow Miz to keep doing what he's doing?
If the Miz does what he normally does against Roman Reigns, to me,
No, I'm talking about on the mic. Because
that's what I'm
to
saying.
me, you have John Cena
Yeah,
and then the Miz.
right. And he's not far from where Cena is on the mic.
Do you think the WWE would really let him?
Well, that's the question because he is edgier than Cena.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't care about the fans. He cares, but not like
Right.
Cena does.
He cares enough to do his job with the fans. That's when he goes after somebody, it's as a bad guy.
Right. Yeah, he
Right.
plays his part. Right.
And
right.
here's the thing. Roman Reigns, he froze against Cena on the mic. Right. His last promo done before No Mercy was by himself in the ring, but it was the best one for him out of that group. If he freezes against The Miz,
The Miz will tear him apart.
it's over. It's over. And he can only do that so many times. I mean, even Vince has got to see that, okay, well, I guess that ship has sailed.
Because to me, that's what this is ultimately where it's headed.
Right.
Because you got the Miz Taraj will get the tag team titles shot.
Mm-hmm.
They may get the belts, they may not, but they'll get the tag title shot.
Right.
And it'll be Reigns versus
Miz.
Miz.
And then the Miz
and then
Taraj.
after they do something stupid and take the title from Miz and put on Roman, Roman will then technically become the number one contender, and that's how he'll slide into the main event spot. Which will then lead to Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns, and we all know where that's going. But do they allow Miz to be Miz during this?
WWE's, what is it, IEP or whatever?
You mean their stock?
Yeah.
Yeah, the IPO.
No, gone.
It's done.
Lower than Toys R Us right now.
Ooh. Heartbreaking news is that Toys R Us.
Although Toys R Us doesn't have IPO. It's not a publicly traded company. I found that out.
I thought they were owned by Amazon.
Who?
Toys R Us.
They
My
probably will be, but
I can't see WWE ever giving The Miz free reign over Roman Reigns because just to our point, I mean, he would destroy Roman. And Roman just isn't the guy on the mic. He can't do it.
Right. Whereas Cena can make him cry. He chose not to.
Miz
the Miz
will make him
would
cry.
make him cry. Yeah.
Well, there was a couple times that it looked like was making Miz was Roman was just sitting there going,
Yeah.
I mean, he was visibly shaking.
like I can't
was
think
shook.
of anything.
Yeah.
I got nothing.
Because he would be like, "Oh, well, Cena brought a tear to your eyes. Here's my handkerchief. You're
Right.
going to need it."
Yeah.
So
Now, do you think the WWE could, and this is just the thinking down the road, they put this together right now to, tickle the fancies, and then after they give Roman the belt at Mania, if they do it, then the Miz comes in, and this is his next world title push, where he comes back and says, "Oh, Roman."
My heart would say yes. I would want to see Miz be the guy that said, "Hey, remember me? I'm the one that embarrassed you before, and I'm going to do it again." But the sad part of it is, the sad reality is, until Vince dies or whatever, we're going to see Roman carted out there as the guy until something else happens. I mean,
they've already told you.
I mean,
He's the guy.
Yeah.
Now, Undertaker passed the torch. Oh, crap. Now, the 16-time world champion, John Cena, has passed the torch.
I mean, how
and
many
he did
times,
it on a craptastic pay-per-view.
How many times has Roman been to Suplex City? What was the count in that match? 15, 16 suplexes?
I don't even remember. But he got this crap smacked out of him. I mean, Brock owned him at WrestleMania, and it wasn't until the closing moments before Seth Rollins cashed in that Roman had any offense.
Every match that they've had, Braun and
Yeah.
Brock have owned him.
Yeah.
And then it's like he's beating him from pillar to post, and then they do the whole Hogan thing where
He hits
You
a
know,
cross spear.
all of a sudden he's like,
Wins.
"Oh, Superman punch!" And yes, you have speared me 700 times and suplexed me 15 times, but you know what? This fist is gonna hurt.
And that's why when it happens, it'll be Roman. Oh, my God, you've beat me up so many times. I just don't know how I can beat you this time. And he does. And they think the fans are going to cheer. But they're not.
It's almost getting as bad as it might as well just have WrestleMania, the main event.
It's like D. Brian Kendrick.
This is his last chance.
This is
Here comes last chance Roman Reigns.
This is how the main event should be at WrestleMania. Roman Reigns stands in the ring with Brock Lesnar, with Paul Heyman, and Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon takes the belt from Brock, hands it to Roman. We're done. Lights out.
Oh, wouldn't that be cool to see Brock Lesnar do what Jeff Jarrett did to Hogan?
Oh, wow. That would be cool.
Because if he's...
Cue the fan from the Undertaker's match with his eyes all...
I mean, think about it. If he's leaving after Mania, why not?
Yeah, who
Why not
cares?
just lay down?
Wow.
Here, this is what they want, and just lay down. Pin me.
That would be
And
cool.
Heyman does it.
You would be as like a startling way to end WrestleMania. Like people, we would all be like, "No way, that didn't just happen." The post show for Corner to Corner would be like, "Holy shit, that really happened."
Yeah, but knowing
There's
Brock,
a lot of
though,
broken televisions.
knowing Brock, though, Brock would be like, okay, pin me. And as soon as he put his leg down, he would
Cradle.
twist him up.
What's that? Got the camera.
Whistle.
All right, well let's go ahead and wrap it up.
At Rob Hefner at C2C on the Twitter, Rob Hefner on Facebook, and RDHUWP on the Instagram. Brian's going to get Stan to say his again because Brian's taking his headset off. It's late.
Maybe I
And,
can. Here we go.
you
Watch
know.
this. Watch this.
oh,
You could follow Brian on the Twitter at STRCP21.
but
That
no,
was
you
fun.
got to say the screen name, though. That's what's the best part.
Oh, that's where I get to say it. That's Professor Dickweed. The show can be found at Corner to Corner on Instagram, C2C Radio Show on Twitter, Corner to Corner Show on Facebook, cornercornerwrestling.com. Don't forget to check out
you. I tell Mr. Cross.
What's that?
Do my shit right before I tell Mr. Cross.
I'm not scared. You don't even have your headset on. He can't hear you.
You will be.
Hey, be sure to check out Ultimate Championship Wrestling. Their website is ucwforever.com. Get your tickets now to Defiance. Episode 2 will be taping on October 28th at the Michael and Son Sportsplex Arena in Sterling, Virginia. I know, every time I say that, I hear their commercial in my head. We got to get their audio. Just put it one time. All right, so we will see you next week, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Thanks again for listening. You have a great night. We'll see you later. And the dog says bye, too.